What does God want from us? To love one another, sure. But for my part, I'm a 35-year-old cis gay man. Beyond what God wants me to do, who does God want me to be? And why? Is it possible that God made some of us queer because God thought we would enjoy it? Part 1. Life is hard. When I grew up in the Catholic Church, and it was hard. I felt out of place. I understood how big of an emphasis the Church placed on relationships and ultimately marriage and having children and that path that the Church sets for Catholics. And I understood how little I was able to fit into that because I liked guys. And I tried harder and harder to be a better Catholic, to look like a better Catholic, to act like a better Catholic, to try and fit in, but I knew deep down that I wasn't doing it the right way, and there was just such a pain and loneliness in that sense of, I'm not doing it right. This isn't me. I'm not fitting in. For queer people in general, life is often really hard in a way that straight people can't really understand, and in a way that cisgendered people can't really, like myself, can't really understand for trans and non-binary people. So I can only speak for my own experiences as a cis gay man. But for all queer people, there is this deep sense of, wow, life is harder for me. And it's not a suffering Olympics or anything like that, but it's worth asking the question. As a Catholic, it's a fair question. Did God make my life harder? Like, was there intention behind it? To say, I'm giving you some kind of harder task in life, some burden. Maybe for a purpose that we'll never understand, but did God play a role in giving me the suffering? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, to be perfectly honest. But I don't think so. I don't think that's who God is, or how God operates. Part 2. Why is life hard? Because of us. We treat each other terribly. We're motivated so often by distrust and greed and anger that we try to put ourselves over each other in any way possible. And that plays out in small scale, little interactions with everyday people in traffic and in the grocery store, and on large scale, on a societal level. And just as often as we act terribly, we often use God to justify our behavior. Part of our work at Vine and Fig is pointing out the ways that the Church uses God as justification for hatred and fear, because it's useful to point it out so that it can be fixed. But we come back to a fundamental belief that God is not the one doing the hating, or fearing, or inspiring the fear. God doesn't hate your sexuality, your gender identity, and He doesn't want anybody to fear you for it. It's understandable if you struggle to separate those two things in your life. That's part of why we believe that it's such an incredible evil to use God and the Church to justify your hatred and your fear of people's sexuality and gender, because it then becomes so hard for those people who are on the receiving end to separate out how church people feel about them and how God feels about them. It ruins people's relationship, not just with the church, but with God. So Why does God allow that to happen? Why does God allow people to treat us so poorly? And I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that question. I still struggle with that a lot. But what has helped me a bit is coming to a better understanding of my queerness and flipping the equation of pain and where it comes from on its head. Part 3, life should be good. So maybe instead of asking, what does God want from you? A better way of looking at it is, what does God want for you? If you've had moments in your life when you've been able to actually appreciate your queerness, to see what a gift it is, to see what a joy it can be in your life and in other people's lives, which, if you've grown up in the church like me, those moments are few and far between because we've got a lot of baggage to unpack. But I have had some moments like that, moments in my relationship, in my marriage, and moments where I've seen my friends come alive and find a sense of wonder and joy at who I am as a person, as a queer person. In those moments, those are glimpses into how God views us as whole, as complete, as completely worthy of joy, affection, and a sense of harmony in our lives. Even in a world that doesn't understand you, in a church that doesn't understand you, you can understand yourself. And your friends can understand you. And your family, both blood and chosen, can understand you, see you, know you. And God sees you and knows you. God created you for those moments when you're seen for who you really are, and people are drawn to it, are amazed by it, are thankful for it. God understands you. God knows you like only a father can, like only a mother can. God sees what a gift your queerness is and rejoices in it. And if God can rejoice in it, if God can enjoy your queerness, so can you. So many of us that have grown up in the church would be able to understand better what a gift our queerness is if we spent time in the queer community with other queer people, learning from them and modeling and being able to see a fuller version of ourselves, one where hatred and fear don't play a role, not at the expense of your Catholicism, but as a natural extension of it. Because they do ultimately go together, queerness and Catholicism. And God, at least, thinks you'll like it. Well, my name is Patrick Flores, and I am one of the co-founders of Vine and Fig, an affirming resource and community for queer Catholics. If you liked this video, be sure and subscribe, because we got a lot more videos coming. If you want to support our work, you can support us on Patreon via the link below in the description. You can also find us on social media at Vine and Fig Co. or on our website at vineandfig.co. Thanks so much, y'all. I'll see you again soon. Love y'all.